I now want to talk about TikTok, so let's switch gears a little bit here. As we know, this has made headlines in recent weeks after Congress passed a bipartisan bill that gave TikTok's parent company ByteDance an ultimatum. That ultimatum would either force ByteDance to divest TikTok or TikTok would be banned from the United States. What do voters think about this specific legislation?
Well, I will say that majorities of voters across all parties support the divestiture bill, the bill that just passed in Congress that would force the sale of TikTok to a US based conglomerate or corporation. 72% of Republicans support the bill, 63% of Democrats, and 59% of independents. So it's less of a political issue across party lines than it is a generational issue. Any action that might be taken around TikTok. And so the biggest differences that we see, it's actually between generations rather than political leaning.
I'm sure it's a generational issue when you posed the question if TikTok has had a positive or negative impact on Americans who used the app. What did you find there?
So overall, 45% said mostly positive, 55% said mostly negative, right? So the majority of public opinion is that TikTok's effects on society are mostly negative rather than positive. However, as I mentioned, when you look at it by generation, two-thirds of 18 to 34-year-olds, essentially Gen Zers and younger millennials, say that it has a positive effect. And a little bit less than 6 in 10 of 35 to 49-year-olds year olds say the same. When you go to older voting groups, 50 plus, then the proportions flip. And a majority of those older voting groups, a solid majority, actually think that it's mostly has had a negative impact. And these types of responses tend to be consistent. And again, when you look at it politically, Republicans and independents tend to think that TikTok has mostly been negative for Americans. Democrats slightly say positive, but it's the generational differences that are really making the difference in the responses.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers have also called TikTok a national security threat since its parent company is China based. Do Americans and voters in general agree with that sentiment?
They do, and it's a majority across the board. 68% of Republicans, 58% of Democrats, and 60% of independents.
And like I said, ByteDance was given that ultimatum divest or TikTok's banned from the United States. Who do Americans want to buy TikTok?
Well, if you've seen the news, there is a consortium led by uh, former President Trump's Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, that wants to buy TikTok and is already considering fielding offers or has already made some kind of an offer. 42% would support that. The majority either do not or are yet to be convinced. However, most Americans, a clear majority of Americans, would love if TikTok is acquired by one of the big technology companies, Amazon, Microsoft, or Apple. Incidentally, these big technology companies also have very high trust scores with the American public. And so it's directly correlated with how much trust you have in the possible third party that is looking to buy the platform. So it's an interesting picture. On one side, consumers and voters are concerned about the concentration of market power when it comes to technology, and you're seeing a lot of antitrust action from the Biden administration on that issue. But on the other end, they feel a lot more safe and secure knowing that the social media platform of choice, or one of the key social media platforms in the country, is owned and operated by a trusted American technology corporation.